Hey there, polymaths. I think I'll call you polymaths as often as teachers, friends, Romans. The Romans thing is kind of a joke around here. Yes, it's Shakespeare, but also I feel we do live immersed. That dream of history that we read about, it takes a while to wire it up to the present and realize that we're living the dream, right? That we're still in the throes of history, and it's like a swirling thing. And you read history as if from a distance. What's fun is to realize how swept up in it you are. And I think Weininger is it? See, this is not to be confused. Weininger is not to be confused with Wenninger. But I think what Wittgenstein liked about Weininger is he did believe that, like, the word make believe is one of our best. It's a great word, make believe, because it's said in all innocence, kids play games of make believe. And it's a shorter way of saying you suspend disbelief. You have to make yourself in some way. You consciously will yourself to believe in certain things. And I think that can be healthy, right? I think that's what psychoanalysis was all about. Carl Jung was saying, replace those complexes with these other ones. It's not like you're not going to have complexes, but if you can have a voice in your head that's on your cheerleading squad and helps you get through the day as opposed to some voice that's always being nasty and critical, just to simplify down to an individual level. And what I was saying last time in the last video, this is kind of a continuation of the last video, is there's another sense of doing psychology where you're not focused on therapy for an individual. You're looking for political victories. You're looking for policy implementation. In other words, your focus is on more than the individual in a sense. But in a way, you have to understand the individual. The idea is to be effective at that level. And I'm pulling up Edward Bernays on Letterman in 1985. These time periods are overlapping enough so that this guy whose uncle is Sigmund Freud is able to have an interesting conversation with David Letterman, who at the time of this recording is much more an old man with a beard, right? Time marches on. I'm a creature of the 80s. Like, I grew up putting modems in my 386 motherboards and, using DOS and things like that. Very pre-web. And then I got into the web before it existed. Like, I got into the concept when I moved to Jersey City and discovered the New Jersey Institute of Technology's interest in that, right? Network Nation. So the other thing this video is about, as usual, this is the Bucky channel related to Bucky Fuller in terms of content. I use this platform to increase awareness and appreciation for a certain curriculum that has a lot to do with Synergetics in particular, which was a 2-volume physical hardbound book from Macmillan in the 70s that made a difference to some of us and continues to make a difference. Today it's online now. You can get it for free. Sometimes we look at my World Game blog as a good front end to a lot of these tools if you're looking for a front end. So I'll go there real quick. But there's Mom. She just got her, she had her 92nd birthday and her second COVID shot. Didn't take it as well as the first, it's not unusual. So it's this down the side that I'm talking about. Down the side where you've got, here's Mom, but down the side, like Flickr photo stream. That's a good resource. That's more just my personal photo log, kind of my chronophile, one of them. But at this point, it's good because it's showing like these different frequencies of cube octahedron. Like this guy is, if you count intervals along an edge, let's see, from one black sphere to another, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's what we call a 3-frequency cube octahedron, right? And although the way the struts or edges are placed to hold these balls in position relative to one another, if you replace each one of those struts with a straight center-to-center ball, in terms of numeric outcomes, it's the same. There's only one relationship between neighboring balls, whether it's this orientation or a center-to-center spear. Now this, this is what we call flextegrity or C60. Just saying numerically we can work and get the same benefit. We can get the answer, how many edges do I need given n frequency or f frequency, whatever. This was a topic in the previous video. If you're starting to flounder and it's like, what's he talking about now? It's all about sequences, right? It's all about the number of balls in like successive layers of, say, a tetrahedron, right? Let's go back to my pictures. Let's pull up a tetrahedron, right? So 1, 3, 6, 10, these are the triangular numbers. And as you stack one triangle on top of another, you're going to get a sequence of cumulative number of spheres, and that's going to make a sequence you'll find in the online encyclopedia of integer sequences, right? So there's 1, 3. Okay, so what we've been trying to figure out, 6, is how many edges are associated with these packings. And when it comes to the crystal ball sequence, there's two different cumulative, where there's one cumulative and one per layer sequence. In other words, we can just focus on how many edges, like are shown here in silver. It turns to 12, 24 is the first number actually. The first layer has 12 spheres, but 24 connecting rods. And it goes on up from there. So what we have in this particular source code file that I'm scrolling through right now is a bunch of these sequences, including ones that I've added since the last video. Number of contact points between equal spheres arranged in layer n of a cube octahedron. So just in that layer, what we were just looking at, that actually corresponds to a sequence I found. Okay, but it doesn't mention this as being what it's about, because these sequences, they'll map to lots of different things. And number of contact points between equal spheres arranged in cube octahedron with n-1 spheres in each edge. Same thing it sounds like, but actually it's just cumulative. So it should, let's see, is it just cumulative per layer? No, it includes all the edges that go between layers. So don't just think of it as a cumulative of layer edges, because we also have internal edges and so forth. And this turned out, by internal I mean intra-layer. And this is all about the cube octahedron. And then there's a similar cumulative computations for half octahedron, octahedron, tetrahedron. So that's math, right? So that's why I earned being called Martian mathematician, I think. And Mike Sarah is going to have me talk next week on his show, and I just wanted to end with his very cool promo. In fact, let me stop it here. I'm going to re-record it using system sound so you can hear it better for the trailer for my talk next week. Anyway, just to round it out, we were talking about the Hunger Project and using like Bernays techniques to re-brainwash ourselves into making the world work. Like, think about how someone who grows up in our school, and even from a young age, they're thinking about the global electrical grid and stuff like that. And it's almost a foregone conclusion that someday There'll be one over the North Pole and so forth. It's like you're working backward mentally from that future, which has space station in it. It's like it's very friendly relations among polymaths, right? We have sort of a network of people in all walks of life in all different countries who have all studied this curriculum and they get along pretty well because they see a common future. That's what we kind of owe Dr. Fuller, is to help us build some consensus here about where we're going. And part of it is we need more sophisticated classroom technology. And the classroom could just mean your personal workspace, but in terms of a front end, I'm looking for more of the look and feel I'm showing you here, spreading around more. And these are free tools, so I don't think that's too unreasonable. So I'll end with that commercial for my upcoming talk, and have a good one, you guys.